Good afternoon everyone. That sound that you just heard there was the sound of a Russian radio station that's been transmitting for years. Its nickname, UVB 76. It broadcasts on the shortwave frequency of 4625 kHz and you'd need a shortwave radio to pick it up. Best received at night time. The station was first identified in 1982, but it's thought that it got its origins back in the 70s, as early as 1976. The two-tone signal that you just heard wasn't always the case. Initially it was like a beeping sound, but it changed in 1990, and it's been doing the same signal monotonously for over 30 years. You see, the enemies of the past were different to the enemies of today. In the past, after the Second World War, from 1945 to the mid-90s, the great enemy was communism, and that was the Soviet Union, Poland, East Germany and Czechoslovakia and Romania. There was this theoretical line called the Iron Curtain, and behind that line was these impenetrable countries that were very suspicious of the West, and the West were very suspicious of them. Both sides had spies, both sides had military might. Throw into that mix the threat of nuclear weapons, and there was real fear around. UVB 76 seems to have its roots from those days of fear and those days of paranoia. So what do we know about UVB 76? Well, radio listeners, people who are just listening to radio signals for a hobby, have sort of triangulated the signal to somewhere around Moscow. When there was kind of like a reformation of the Russian military in 2010, and the signal changed its location again, but again it was somewhere around the Moscow area. And one of the most interesting things is that occasionally the buzzing stops and a voice comes in and gives a coded message. And this is where we get the name of UVB 76 from, because one of the earliest coded messages was the following. It was a Russian voice that said this: Ulyana, Vasily, Boris, 76. So that was taken as code for UVB 76. People have disputed that though, because some people have said it's actually called UZB 76, because instead of saying Vasily, what the guy said was the name Zinanida, leading to it being called, well, the nickname should have been UZB 76. Either way, they're both just nicknames, because this station doesn't have an official name. Okay, so I'll play you one of the messages now. There's the classic buzzing.
UZB 76, UZB 76, 93 882. На имена 74 14 35 74. Девятка, тройка, восьмерка, восьмерка, двойка, Николай, Анна, Иван, Михаил, Иван.
And it goes on and on to give a series of names and numbers. Another interesting thing is sometimes you can hear voices in the background while the buzzer is buzzing away. But what they reckon is that it's very old technology, and the thing that generates the buzzing is here, and there's just an open mic here, and it just buzzes into this open mic, which then is linked to the transmitter. Hence you're hearing voices in the background and conversations and all sorts of things going on. And those messages come sometimes months apart. So remember I said in 2010 the Russian military reformed, and the transmission site of UVB 76 changed. And in the old site, some urban explorers broke in. Obviously they had access to information and knew where the place was. They broke in and took the following photographs. As you can see, a lot of the technology, if you can call it that, had been stripped out, but things had been left behind, and you can see that the place was in a pretty poor state. So what is it about? Why has this thing been buzzing away? Why have these transmissions been going on for so many years? Well, there's various theories, from the wild to the more sober. One of them is that when the buzzer stops, and stops completely, the nuclear bombs have been launched by Russia and we're all going to die. That's a bit far-fetched. Another one is that it really is a station that broadcasts to Russian spies that are based around the world. And another more props down to earth theory is that it's just a station that broadcasts to Russian military garrisons. Another one is that the reason it buzzes is to keep that frequency free, so that no other radio station or anyone else would try and broadcast, because it will just bleed all over their broadcast. But no one truly knows what it's about, and it's still a mystery to this day, and the Russian government have never confirmed the existence of this station. I find it all quite fascinating, to be honest with you. Okay, so if this interests you, you can look it up on the internet, and there are other stations, or there have been other stations as well, like the Buzzer, and one was called the Pip, one was called the Squeaky Wheel. Also, there's a live feed from UVB 76. If you type it on Google, UVB 76 live, you can listen in as it actually happens. You may even hear one of the coded messages, but don't hold your breath, because they're very few and far between. Like I say, the whole thing has completely captured my imagination, and I've filmed this little tribute to the whole myth of UVB 76. So if you'll stay tuned and watch this, I'll be very pleased.
На имена 74 4.